The jealousy is real. The jealousy is real. You know, this damn dump just can't get out of its own way. Yesterday should have been a celebration in the WNBA. Celebrate our missed layups. Even though the celebration was an illusion that masked the serious problem facing this league, we'll get to that more here in just a second, but yesterday should have been a joyous moment as ratings were released for the immaculate return of the Roo from Waterloo, the great white hope, the savior of the worst sports league in America. She made her return Saturday afternoon, drawing 2.2 million viewers on ABC. Now, you can make the case. Actually, you might even be factually correct in saying that Caitlin Clark is now more popular than the NBA regular season. For 3 weeks, pretend basketball was completely ignored. For 3 weeks, the WNBA dump was given a reality check. No one cares about pretend basketball. Outside of family and friends, along with detectives responsible for locating missing persons, outside of those two groups, no one really gives a shit about this league. You got one player, one valuable asset. You have one star that you should be protecting at all cost. And how does the WNBA treat her? They constantly attack her, they poke her in the eye, then they take cheap shots when she's not looking. Meanwhile, the diva of Dump Divas, Kat Engelbert, along with her pretend friends in the mainstream media, they go out of their way to protect Angel Reese, who can't draw flies to a fresh turd. If Angel Reese is on the marquee, tickets are selling for $3 if tickets are selling at all. Instead of protecting the real star, the WNBA chooses to protect the self-proclaimed Bayou Barbie who tours the country pretending to be a star. You know, I'm starting to wonder if some of this drama with Caitlin Clark is being manufactured. Just to be clear, I'm not saying Caitlin Clark is manufacturing the drama. Obviously, she doesn't need to rely on gimmicks to generate mainstream attention. But the rest of the pretend basketball players in the WNBA, the only way they can generate interest, the only way they can see their name in the headlines is by attacking Caitlin Clark. And I'm starting to wonder if it's intentional. Sure, jealousy plays a part, but I'm just starting to wonder if these attacks on Caitlin Clark are being used to elevate their own name. Think about it. 24 hours ago, how many of you guys had heard of Marina Mabrey? But my name is Marina.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Before last night, how many of you had heard of Maria? Maria, Maria, you're the new face of jealousy. The only Maria I remember is the Maria that Carlos Santana sang about. Before last night, I had never heard of a Maria in the WNBA. Mark, Bob, Sam, these are names that I'm familiar with. But last night, there was another unwarranted attack on Caitlin Clark. The jealous rage was bad enough, but to make matters worse, and this is what most Caitlin Clark fans are pissed off about. Notice I did not say WNBA fans. They don't exist. But the reason most Caitlin Clark fans are pissed off is because the WNBA seems to be steadfast in their refusal not to do a damn thing about it. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Today on the second channel, going to be talking about the NBA's most high-profile fake gangster, Demetrius, better known as Ja Morant. Demetrius is pissed off because Stephen A. Smith had the audacity to claim that Memphis is an undesirable location for star NBA players. I guess Ja Morant is surprised that most NBA players don't want to live around crime. We'll go into detail in the second channel, so if you haven't already, click the link in the description and subscribe. Last night, the Indiana Felines were hosting the Female Suns from Connecticut. Midway through the third quarter, Felines are up by 10. Now, in the NBA, teams can erase a 10-point lead in a matter of seconds. In the WNBA, a 10-point deficit can be insurmountable. It's the equivalent of a one-legged man trying to climb out of the Grand Canyon. Supposedly, this game was a big deal last night because it was part of the Commissioner's Cup, which I believe is the equivalent of the in-season tournament in the NBA, meaning it's just another regular season game with the winner taking home a trophy that you need a microscope to see. Midway through the third quarter, Felines up 10 with the miniature ball. Caitlin Clark is entertaining the crowd by dribbling and walking at the same time, which, as you guys know, that skill set very rare in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark is setting up the offense, and she's viciously poked in the eye by one of the unknown female Suns. My investigators, they had been unable to confirm her identity. But all kidding aside, the eye poke, it was unintentional. Happens in basketball, although it does seem to happen with more regularity with Caitlin Clark. She might need to call Horace Grant and ask to borrow his goggles. Now, naturally, Caitlin Clark was pissed off with being poked in the eye again. So she shoved the unknown feminine Sun and politely told her to keep her hands to herself. No big deal, right? Should have been end of story. The problem is Maria inserted herself into the story. While Caitlin Clark wasn't looking, Marina Mabrey violently shoved her from behind. Watch it for yourself. You heard the announcers predict that Marina Mabrey would be ejected from the game. Of course, that didn't happen since, attacking Caitlin Clark is not only acceptable behavior in the WNBA, it's encouraged. Marina Mabrey was given a technical foul. Let me provide a little context here. Let me explain what's considered a technical foul in the NBA. Slamming the ball on the ground, technical foul. Calling an official an incompetent asshole, technical foul. Losing your temper, technical foul. Shoving a defenseless player from behind, automatic ejection and likely suspension. Not in the WNBA, though. No. This league needs the drama to survive. They can't be ejecting players. They can't be suspending players for manufacturing drama. Later in the game, Sophie Cunningham got revenge for Caitlin Clark by tackling the female Sun who attacked her. This resulted in a minor altercation between the feminine felines and the female Suns from Connecticut. I'm sure the mainstream media will attempt to turn this into a rivalry, but once again, this can't be a rivalry because the female Suns are absolutely dreadful. Besides the Chicago bravado, the Suns from Connecticut are arguably the worst team in the league. Like I said earlier, there's a serious problem right now in the WNBA. For starters, the league needs drama, controversy to survive. Even though Caitlin Clark was playing last night, if the fights hadn't happened, no one would be talking about this game. There might be some headlines about Caitlin Clark's performance, but other than that, it would be just another regular season game in the dump. And look, that's not Caitlin Clark's fault. The female Suns, like damn near every other team in the WNBA, just aren't that interesting. But the strong performance in the ratings from Caitlin Clark last weekend, along with the 3 weeks of the WNBA disappearing from the mainstream while Caitlin Clark was injured, it highlights the biggest problem in this league. The WNBA is in the worst position that a sports league can be in. The NBA normally has a handful of players that can attract mainstream interest, but even when they don't, the NBA can always rely on the Lakers. They can rely on the Celtics, the Knicks. Major League Baseball has the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Cubs. Vince McMahon learned decades ago, you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're completely dependent on one star. Vince McMahon tried to cultivate several main event level stars so he wasn't reliant on one person to carry the company. It is the complete opposite in the WNBA. The dump is 100% reliant on Caitlin Clark. When she was injured, ratings across the league declined by 55%. Ticket prices plummeted. To make matters worse, mainstream interest completely disappeared. For 3 weeks, no one was talking about pretend basketball. All those pretenders in the media who claimed to be diehard fans of the WNBA, they weren't focused on the league. Why? Because no one was reading about it. As a business, the WNBA's current model is not sustainable. When Michael Jordan retired, NBA lost half its audience, at least for the NBA Finals. But the NBA was going from 30 million down to 15, 16 million. Right now, I'm sure Adam Silver would be thrilled with 16 million viewers. But even when Michael Jordan retired, the NBA was still mainstream. They still had star players who could attract an audience. If something happened to Caitlin Clark, the WNBA would disappear. People would forget that the league exists. You don't have to take my word for it. Look at what happened when she was injured. Look at the huge embarrassing failure of Unrivaled. That secondary dump was struggling to reach 200,000 people. If Caitlin Clark wanted to, she could be running this league. She's got all the leverage, all the power, but she's trying to make it work. She's trying to elevate everyone around her. And what does she get in return? Pokes in the eye, unwarranted attacks, in a league that pretends like Angel Reese is a star. Give me your thoughts on this. Caitlin Clark gets poked in the eye again. Then she gets viciously attacked again. I'm not even going to pose a question. Just sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.